We live in a really complicated world. In fact, our world has always been complicated, but maybe it's even more complex right now. It might be easy to think, well, because of the web, we're connected to the world in almost an instant. But to really understand these issues and these problems, you have to see the people that are affected. You have to talk to the people. You have to understand their history. You have to walk in their shoes to really understand their vantage point. Then, once you understand, that's where you can begin to start helping and make the world a better place. Really make the place a global force for good. That's why studying abroad and our Center for Global Education is just so important, because our students get to see things up front and then actually work in some of those instances in those environments to really understand at a deeper level. Understanding is the starting point for actually making things better. And so our Center for Global Education, our study abroad programs really allow that to begin.
Studying abroad at TU is actually the first time I'd ever left the country. Just being immersed in a different language and culture, especially coming from the Midwest, there's so much more in touch with their history. There's just different, very small cultural things that are very apparent on the surface once you touch down.
I was motivated to go abroad from a pretty early age. Art is such a expansive thing to study. You have to go past the classroom to learn more about it.
It just fit right within my interests of when I wanted to go and what I wanted to study.
That study abroad is something that wasn't difficult. It was really easy to fit in with my course load and actually applied to some of the courses I needed to take anyway.
I really want to see myself as a social activist and as an advocate for people who are in marginalized communities. And being abroad really helped me be able to do that.
And I knew that I wanted to go to Africa to kind of gain a different perspective.
I think my initial thoughts were just, pure shock. It was like, I saw all the pictures and videos of these cities and I was just finally there. Just the different sort of architecture and city layout. I just really fell in love with the idea that there's just so much that I hadn't seen there. I've been living in sort of the bubble in the Midwest for my entire life, and I was really branching out and seeing more of the world.
My initial experience studying in Vienna, Austria, was that it was really interesting because while I am from Europe and I've studied in the US for about 6 years now, I'd never really dealt with a country that was, halfway between the Western European countries and the Eastern European countries.
Geology is a global science, and getting to interact and interface with people from other places and other countries that have a very unique perspective on their particular slice of the world. It was great because we got to go out in the field and learn from these people who know it like the back of their hand.
One of the main things that helped me want to study abroad was hearing the different experiences of different TU students who studied abroad. A lot of the different orientation leaders talked about how study abroad was such an impactful part of their Tulsa experience, and I really wanted to make sure that I had similar experiences as well. Just hearing about all the different opportunities, it really encouraged me to buckle down and make sure that I had the opportunity to study abroad.
The program and the people that I lived with really helped me.
I knew that I wanted to study within the field of health professions and medicine, not just in the United States, but globally.
I got to meet Haley when she was a freshman here at TU, and she is a remarkable person, and she's grown in ways that you hope for people, but you don't always get to see it come to fruition in this short time frame of college. But Haley has really excelled and grown in ways that we all would want for her. It was an eye-opening experience she had in Africa.
The real takeaway from it was the connections I formed with all my German friends. They really brought me into their life, and it wasn't the major tourist attractions that I visited either that really made an impression on me. It's when I went to their hometowns, talking through translation to some of the relatives that couldn't speak English. Those were the experiences that really shaped the whole deal for me.
Kirk always surprises me because he's so involved in so many different things. I am quite certain that all of Kirk's experiences abroad have helped make him who he is today, along with all his experiences at TU. He's just an even-keeled guy. Every experience that he has seems to just add layers to who he is.
Something after going to Japan that I found myself really passionate in was actually learning the language itself. Their writing system is just out of this world. I still practice to this day.
I know Arthur through my group on the nano battery project that we have. When he came back, he had a larger view of how science connects and bridges many different barriers, and just to see how science and research are performed at a university overseas, at a different university, I think has really been beneficial to him.
Studying abroad or just going to different countries isn't something you should be afraid about. It really made me appreciate how everyone in the world, at least from my experience in Brazil, is a lot like us.
Tim has always been driven from day one. He wanted to be challenged in the classroom. He wanted to take a lead across campus. He wanted to be seen as a leader, but he also wanted to constantly improve himself. He was excited before he left. He came back just over the top. The change in energy level was astonishing. He came back excited, engaged, wanting to do more, seeking out more experiences. It's amazing. It was a fantastic experience for him.
So my whole career path and future kind of changed once I realized that I can survive by myself in a different country where they speak a different language for the most part. Convinced me that I can do that again, and so I'm very open to working in different countries in the future as a result.
Yeah, so Kirk approached me with an interest in doing research in solar energy. We had a big project to develop a solar collector platform. And part of the project is to build a prototype test bed, and Kirk's been involved in that project for over 2 years, and some of the things he's made will still be located at campus even after he leaves. So when Kirk returned from the internship experience in Germany, he definitely had more interest in not only renewable energy and studying renewable energy, but also in the difference between the politics of how renewable energy has been adopted in Europe versus the way it has been in the United States. And I think that's definitely influenced his interest level in renewable energy as well as his desire to make an impact.
Study abroad definitely fueled my fire to be even more of a social activist, especially my protest class. Even though it was the hardest class that I have ever taken in my college career, he really wanted to make sure that we understood not only the social movement itself, but why it started. And I think that's a very key point to consider. All those new opportunities that I had really opened my eyes to new avenues that I can pursue social activism and social justice as well.
I met Kyla Sloan before she took her first class, and obviously was impressed with this young lady. We ended up hiring Kyla because she has a strong path of empathy and this commitment to making, the lives of others better. When she got back from Spain, there was a confidence that she had in her voice that I don't think I'd heard before. This sense of, I know I have something to say now, and you need to be at least letting me contribute. But there's something about a 22-year-old who knows they have something to say, and the difference that makes in our campus and in students' lives.
I'd really like to be involved in some type of international transactions. So studying abroad, learning a new culture, learning a new language, learning how people interact with one another, what motivates them, what doesn't motivate them. And then on your part, finding new ways to make yourself understood by people are just great skills that any managers would need to have in a globally competitive world that we are in today.
Well, Valerie I think of her as more of a shaper than the one being shaped. So I think the benefit to her of studying abroad was helping to influence the other students who were with her. And at least on the Brazil trip, what I saw from her is a concerted effort to be more outgoing. I think that helped her to bloom perhaps in a way that she hadn't before because she was surrounded by a group of peers. I mean, certainly she had experienced different cultures to that point, but this perhaps was the first time where she got to play a leadership role among peers.
Val is an extremely special person. She really saw the whole picture when it came to academics, but also being a leader on and off the court and trying to do the right thing. She was a little beyond her years and maturity, and her intelligence, I think, really helped with that. But more importantly, I think she cared, and that's what really helped her have a level of success.
Interning at the company I worked for really helped me with my understanding of the workplace and the opportunities that are out there for a future career. With my internship, I had to do a lot of graphic design work, which I hadn't done for a company. That's really helped me with my classes and with presenting.
I was thrilled to hear that Caroline was interested in studying abroad. One of the great things that she did while she was studying abroad was she interned. 2 of her book cover designs were actually chosen for the company's books. And so I think that was a really exciting moment for her, where she realized that she could combine some of her interests in arts management and not-for-profit work, her design skills that she's doing and pursuing her advertising certificate, some of her art historical knowledge, and her Spanish language skills, right, and working for this company. And so we don't know if when she graduates she's going to continue to work in that vein, or kind of what she'll do with this wide array of skills that she's developed since she's been here.
I was the only American at this university, as far as I could tell. I think that as kind of the sole representative of sort of my culture, I was really able to hold my own and form meaningful connections that I still maintain on a daily basis now. And I think in interviews I kind of draw on that and the fact that I was able to integrate into their work culture so quickly.
I'm going to grad school next, and it was really easy, and it was really nice to have something as deeply personable as studying abroad, because that was a big part of what I've gotten out of my undergraduate years, so writing about that was really a big part of my application process. The thing that studying abroad in Brazil taught me is that I would really like to do something with an international community, maybe as a career position.
Definitely the opportunities have really strengthened, not only just things to put on your resume, but I think it's more about the experience and what you really learn. You definitely have a leg up in your fields. I've become more of a risk taker, challenging myself, taking more courses, adding a minor.
Something that's always been, I guess, going through my mind, especially after studying abroad, was living life in a different country for an extended period of time. Definitely something that I got out of the first time of doing Nana Japan was applying to the JET program, which is an English teaching program in Japan. But that's definitely something that I'm thinking about after graduation. The different sort of environment that you're in is something that, yeah, I definitely draw upon in job interviews, just because it is a real challenge, and there's a lot of people that, you know, are really scared at the idea of just, you know, being surrounded by people who just don't understand them.
My study abroad experience in Botswana truly shaped my post-grad perspective and my post-grad plans. I'm planning on pursuing grad school, specifically physician's assistant. The hands-on experiences such as shadowing the doctors and the nurses in all those different clinics has helped me to affirm my desires of working abroad someday.
One of the main social movements that I loved learning about was Arab Spring. It sort of reminded me of the Black Lives Matter movement here, and I actually wrote an article about the similarities that I found between Black Lives Matter and the Arab Spring movement. So it was really incredible in being able to tie what we were learning about the Middle East and Spain and all kinds of other different social movements to what's happening at home as well.
Geology is something that shouldn't just happen in a classroom, it's something that needs to happen in an outdoor experience, and talking with a lot of different people about how they interact with the world and what we can all gain from learning more about science in general.
I think if you're a first-year student or whatever year student thinking about studying abroad, I think you should definitely do it. College is the best time to really branch out and study abroad.
I'm grateful to be a student at the University of Tulsa. I don't think that I could experience the combination of experiences that I've had so far anywhere else, and especially in the supportive community that I've had.
With the help from Candace and a lot of the people at the CGE, it made me realize that it's not something that needs to be scary, because if you just research beforehand, you can certainly learn as much as you need to know about the place you're going.
Simply do it. Don't find an excuse that you can't do it because your friends are going to be here when you come back. Your parents are just a Skype call away.
Something you can always think about doing is studying abroad in the summer, doing some sort of fellowship or research program.
As an athlete, CGE and Global Scholar worked with me.
I would definitely say go for it because you don't get this chance after college. It's a lot more difficult to go abroad, and you have all this time as a student to just go see the world and to study and learn so many things.
Find a way to make it happen.
Such a valuable experience, I think.
Countries have research exchange programs like this, and Germany's is one of the best.
I was lazy and took too long to figure out what I wanted to do studying abroad-wise. Maybe think about it just a little bit as early as possible and go talk to the nice people at the CGE.
Congratulations to all of our students who have studied abroad. We actually thank you for doing so because you're a much stronger graduate because you've studied abroad. But our students that have really gone the extra mile and done in-depth work, our global graduates, I want to say congratulations to them as well. If you're a future employer looking at a resume from a student at the University of Tulsa and you see this depth of work that someone has done on an international basis, it really makes you a very attractive candidate in the future. And so we say congratulations to you for taking those extra steps and getting out of your comfort zone. For those high school students who are contemplating coming to the University of Tulsa, we really want you to look carefully at our Center for Global Education and our study abroad programs. Our students that go and do these experiences rave about them because they've learned so much and they themselves have personally grown by getting out of the United States and going somewhere very different. They become a stronger student in the long run.